I can't believe we're back for season 11. I'm Steve Harper. I'm your host of the Ripple Effect podcast. Thank you for joining me today. Season 11. What? That's like two hands and a finger. We've been doing this so long. It has been such an adventure, so exciting, and I can't wait to dive into the interviews that we're going to do this year. I got to tell you, if you went back to the last episode, you got our 2025 recap. You got a little snippet from all the interviews that we did last year. When I was going back through, I was just smiling from ear to ear. I was so amazed how many cool people agreed to come on the show, how many people sought me out to join the show, how many PR agencies and agents we got calling us now. And we're like, hey, man, we want to be on the Ripple Effect podcast. I'm like, me? Are you sure? You got the right guy? I mean, come on. No, in all honesty, it has been overwhelmingly positive, and I can't wait to dive into season 11. I've already looked at our roster of just first quarter interviews. I am blown away by the amazing people that we've got coming up and are going to interview on your behalf. I feel like it was an opportunity for us to talk about, the new year, where we're going, what we're doing. I don't want to bore you. This is going to just be a pretty short episode, but I, first and foremost want to say thanks for showing up. Thanks for being a listener. Thanks for sending in all the suggestions, either for guests or topics you want us to cover, areas that you might want me to focus our interviews on or dive into certain specific subjects. Quite honestly, I'm just humbled by the number of people that have reached out to me over the course of the last year just to say, I don't know what you're doing, man, but you're bringing your A game. And to that, I say thank you. Thank you to those that have said, hey, look, I love where you go and where you take these interviews. I can't wait to have more of that, but I also want to hear on, this topic, or I want your advice on this subject, or I'm dealing with this crazy situation. I'd love to have some episodes just dedicated to you sharing some tips and ideas and strategies and suggestions and all that stuff. And so we will definitely be doing a mixture of that this year. I am actually, if you're going to see this on YouTube, you're actually going to see I'm in my home studio. I just got this new mixer board that's got buttons for days. It was a whim purchase, right? I'm like, I need like a mixer board at the house. So when I'm not at the office or in that studio, I can actually record from home. And this thing's intimidating. It's got more buttons than I can shake a stick at. I'm afraid to touch anything because I haven't really read the instructions. If you know me, I'm kind of a plug and play kind of guy. I kind of like to just get going and rolling. This thing can tie into music. It's got some sound effects. It's got all these different things that I can do with reverb and dry and wet mic. I don't know what any of that stuff means. I kind of do, sort of, a little bit. But I didn't really want to screw with that today. I just wanted to get rolling. Just get rolling. And I promised to dive in and learn. I'm nerding out on all the tech and various things that I'm bringing to my business. And there's a lot of tools. This mixer board is just one of many that I'm actually starting to incorporate into my operation, my plan, my business, and what I'm doing. And like I always am guilty of, I don't want to read instructions. Not only is it that I don't want to read them, but they print them so damn small. I'm getting old, dudes. I'm getting old. Like, maybe they should have two different instruction books, like for the old people and then one for the young people. Tell me where to write in that suggestion for all you tech nerds out there to tell these people, do that. But I will get through this. I will read this and figure out how to push some buttons and maybe make some sound effects and jack in some music. I don't know. You never know. This is so much more advanced than the one I've got at the office studio. I'm a little wondering if that old one needs to be retired and I need to get a second one of these and put it up there. Because once I learn how to do these buttons, I'm going to be wanting to use these things. And I don't know. We'll see. So far, my wife has not seen that this thing hit the credit cards. We're A-okay right now. 2026 is here. One of the goals behind what we're trying to accomplish with this show is not only to bring you amazing guests who give you just that insider baseball on what their keys and tips are to their success, how they're connecting out there in the world, the types of approaches that they're taking to build relationships. But we're also getting an opportunity to meet some really incredible people. If you went back to the last episode for 2025, you saw the Ripple recap, you got to see some of the guests that we've had. I highly encourage you to go back through each and every one of those episodes. There are just nuggets there. They are like master classes from people that are out there just absolutely crushing it. They are up leveling their game and they are not afraid to share the tips, the ideas, the strategies with you. And I am so grateful that these people have agreed to do this. I've said it a few times, few episodes. I'm actually overwhelmed by the number of agents that are contacting me, PR agencies, book agents, talent agents. They're like, hey, man, we got this person there. You're doing some great stuff. I think they ought to come on your show. And that just makes me so, so happy because it actually proves that we are actually doing something right with this show. We are creating a format that is fun to listen to. It's engaging, it is insightful, and brings just a new level of, I'd say, experts to the table. And we're doing it in a way that's kind of fun because you're getting to experience what we're doing in the interview and how I go about learning and engaging people in my real life, right? And what I do to create these ripples of connection. And I can tell you that almost every single one of my guests came back to us and said how much they enjoyed the time, how much they really appreciated the level of attention that I put towards their interviews, and the types of questions that they got asked were different than what they've experienced in other platforms. That made me feel super, super good. And I've got a few people that are in major media that are like, dude, you missed your calling. You should be doing this for a living. I'm like, yeah, I would love to, but I got so many other things that I do, right? Maybe one day, maybe this can be my 100% focus, but it is not yet. Not quite there. Not quite there. Not producing any revenue of significance for this show yet. Have to figure out how to monetize this bad boy one of these days, but that is less important to me than just bringing amazing, amazing people to you as my audience. And so I am super excited about 2026. We're here to bring a lot of perspectives, a lot of new ideas, new strategies, new tips that you can apply to your life, whether it's your personal life, your professional life, whether you're looking to make a career change, whether you're trying to figure out how to up-level your networking, or how to get inspired to take that, idea and turn it into a side hustle, and that side hustle into maybe your full-time gig. That's the plan. That's the goal. And so we're going to be, focusing on a couple of critical themes this year about building deeper trust. That's one that I know that my audience, you guys have requested over and over again. How do we do that? How do we build it? How do we secure that with the people that are important to us? How do we navigate important relationships in a world where everybody seems to default back to online, whether it be LinkedIn or the social media platforms? And of course, everybody's talking about AI and what that's going to do to, our job prospects, our career trajectory, how we're using it to be better, how we're engaging. I have a lot of people that ask me, and the stuff that you guys are putting out, like whether that's your articles or whether it's your show notes or whether it's your questions that you're even preparing or using AI. We don't use a lot of AI around here. We do, do utilize it to a certain extent to do some research and to get some, broader perspectives on a few themes. But for the most part, we are still putting in the work. We're grinding. And maybe that makes us old school. Maybe that makes me inefficient. But that's the way I like to go. I like to roll that way. But we are going to talk about AI and what that's going to do. We've got a few guests that are going to, I know, touch on that in the upcoming year. We have, I think, as I look at just even this, next set of guests, I mean, we got CEOs of companies, we got community leaders, and we got some everyday ripplers that are out there just showing some, sharing some raw ripple stories about what they're doing and how they're doing it. Won't always be Pollyanna. We're going to hear some things about failure. We're going to hear some things about struggle. We're going to hear some things, quite honestly, about, lack of confidence, imposter syndrome. There are just things that we want to talk about in this upcoming season that I think is going to have a little bit of something for everybody. It's kind of like, I don't know, podcast gumbo, if you will, put a little bit in there, a little bit there, and then bam, some spicy stuff and all that good thing. I'm often asked, what does it take to make a show successful? And I think a lot of what we do is very unscripted. It's very, I'll call it organic, right? When I'm interviewing people, I do have a format, kind of an area that I kind of like to focus on so that people kind of understand sort of the guardrails of the show. But for the most part, these aren't scripted questions. I kind of take where our conversations go, where I feel I need to take them in the moment. And that's what I think brings that level of authenticity to the show in a big, big way. And I also try to focus on areas that I know you, as my audience, want to hear, what you want to learn from some of these amazing people. As you will probably surmise, if you go back and you listen to any of the episodes from any of the amazing people that we've had over the last year, heck, let's call it, I don't know, when I started doing interviews, we'll call it like the last 7 seasons, maybe 6, I don't know. I'm not good. Math is not my strong suit. But when I started interviewing people, um, it's funny because I kind of transformed over the last few years. I just stopped being so worried about like prim and proper and, a distinct format that people could sort of get behind, and just started telling people, hey, don't worry about any prep. Don't worry about showing up like, with this agenda. I'm not sending you any questions ahead of time. This is really designed to be a conversation between friends. Based on what I've heard from you as my audience over the course of the last few years, that really seems to resonate. That's what people want. They don't need polished. They don't need scripted. They don't need things to be perfect. We're going to make mistakes. Things are going to happen. We're going to leave, some people, kind of scratching their head, in some of the direction we might be headed with some of these interviews, because that's just the way I roll, yo. That's what the cool kids say, right? Yo. I kind of dig that piece because it gives me the ability to be vulnerable in the moment. It gives me the opportunity to have and show you firsthand how I would go about rippling with somebody if I was just sitting across the table sharing a cup of coffee with them. One of the things that I've really enjoyed about this is that I feel like I am getting a front row seat to a masterclass for these amazing people who, quite honestly, are putting their trust in me to lead this conversation in a way that makes it interesting and exciting and really, at the end of the day, something that people want to hear. And for our guests, I want to create an environment where it feels like they've known me for a very long time, even though we may have just met for the first time, or maybe we have, been talking back and forth, but we don't really know one another. Occasionally, I'll have a few people that I've had in my life for a very long time, right? Because I want to give you a mixture of those awesome people as well. But a lot of these guests are coming, to me now, whether it be through a PR agency or an agent, a book agent or a talent agent, someone who has heard about the podcast or has listened to some episodes and they're like, dude, I love the way you go about this. I'm just very humbled. Me, Mr. Shy, Mr. Introverted. Gosh, if I could speak, Mr. Introverted. This has actually been a really good thing for me too, because it's allowed me to kind of crawl out of this box and test my skills and my abilities in a way that I think is hella fun. Let's just be honest. I mean, it has become a passion for me to not only, book these amazing guests and have these interviews, but then to continue the conversations after the fact, find other ways of supporting these people in their work, finding ways for us to do some other things. Maybe that's through taking them from the podcast and then having them do something with us in our Ripple community, or taking some of these after shows and kind of putting that in for my subscribers where we can actually talk turkey about these people and what we learned from them in maybe a little less filtered way, right? So if you're not a subscriber, this is a little commercial point for you. If you're not a subscriber to my Substack, I highly encourage you to look to do that. It's not a big investment, but it does give me a little bit of financial resource to be able to continue this work, which costs you nothing right now, obviously, to hear these podcasts. I know there's a lot of people out there like trying to build that. This is not my way of buying my new car. This is not my way to take my wife on a vacation, as she would probably remind us that no, that's not happening, right? It's just a way to actually help support the work and help, offset some of the costs for editing and some of the, behind the scenes things that you don't see, right? Including, acquiring this little bad boy, this little mixer thing that I got for my home studio here, which my wife has yet to see that credit card statement come across, which is okay with me. She hasn't said anything. And when I'm done here, I'll put it away in a cabinet where she doesn't look and she will be none the wiser. She'll probably eventually come back and be like, hey, what the heck is this? Why do you keep buying stuff? Yes, dear. I know. I got a problem. I'm a nerd. I'm a tech geek, right? What do you want from me? I got all this stuff. I got cameras. I got great mics. I got I gotta bring my game to a certain level of aesthetic. And, early days, she kind of bought it. Now, not so much, right? But you as subscribers to Substack or Patreon, allow us to do some of that work and help offset some of that cost. And it's also quite honestly an opportunity for us to actually have a little bit of let's call it an unfiltered, uncensored conversation. I'll say a few colorful words. I'll give you the straight skinny. I'll talk about some things that I won't necessarily talk about here in my open environment just because, that's for the behind the scenes stuff. That's behind the wall, right? So I want to continue to add and grow that content as well and do those things this year. And so I'm super excited as I look at 2026 getting rolling. And I really want to have you, as you look at the upcoming season, I want you to do something for me. It's one thing to watch this on YouTube. It's one thing to put your earbuds in and take me to the gym or on your long car ride. These guests that drop the truth bombs, I got to encourage you to go back and listen to these episodes at least a second time to pick out some of those nuggets. And what I'm going to ask you to do for me in 2026 is I want this to be a two-way conversation. I want you to come back to us and say, here's what you didn't ask, or here's what I would have liked to have known, or here's some questions that I have for your guest. I'm going to approach every guest this year and ask them if they'd be willing to have additional conversations, because let's face it, a lot of you have not heard of these people, maybe not heard of their book, not, sought out their websites or their businesses. So it becomes a win-win for them because at the end of the day, we're giving them exposure to an audience they may never have gotten exposure to. And we're bringing potentially new people to their content and their website, their new book, their new venture, whatever the case might be. And so I want to be able to bring some more bang for the buck for them, right? So part of that is by you as my listeners saying, hey, that one interview, I loved it. Here's the 3 things that I thought of while I was talking. Just those observations alone are gold to our guests for them to hear it after the fact. Hey, Sally wrote me and told me these 3 things about your interview that really made an impact on her or made her think about something differently or started to approach her work or her life a little bit differently because of something you said or something you did. That has staying power. That has potential. And that's really what I want to do this year. And so rather than it being a passive activity for us, I want you to be, what is the opposite of passive? Engaged? I want you to be vocal. I want you to be committed. I want you to share what you like about these interviews. I want you to tell me what some of these nuggets that you've taken down or listened to and applied in some capacity. But my request to you as my listener is to go back through some of these interviews. Obviously not this one because this is me. It's like, I don't want to listen to that guy more than once if I don't have to. But the interviews, go back and listen to them. Listen with your open heart and open mind the first go around. And then go back and take out your Ripple Connection Journal, which, by the way, you could get at ripplecentral.com. Go to our shop, get your new one for this year. Or, hey, Life in Ripples, our digital planner, dropped 2 versions. We have a dated one for the entire year of 2026. We have an undated one. So many cool nuggets in this thing. And you could take these notes right there on your digital journal, which can be on your laptop. It can be on your tablet. It can be on your phone. All sorts of things you can do. We built it for GoodNotes, by the way, but you can use it on any Adobe playable note-taking application that you have out there, and it works. I got several people that bought it like, "Boo, this is so awesome!" I don't use GoodNotes, but hey, I use another thing and it's working great, and I love that. I am thrilled by that. But whether you're using the Ripple Connection Journal, the paper version, or you're using Life in Ripple's digital journal, this is a great opportunity for you to go back through these episodes and just make some notes. Make some notes, bullets, numbers, highlights. I don't know. Get crazy. Do whatever you want to do, but take down some of these things, because what I have found, especially on the other podcasts that I listen to, and I listen to a lot, I get the most value when I go back through an episode, heard it the first time, now I'm hearing it the second time, but I'm actually listening and a bit more engaged because I've got pen in hand, or in my case, digital pen, because I'm putting it right there into my life, my digital journal, my Life and Ripples digital journal. And I'm actually able to take some of these things down. And it's not just when I say, do it for the sake of doing it. It's actually think about these core concepts, these ideas, these strategies, these nuggets that you're picking up from these interviews. Really look at it from multiple sides, and then let your imagination run wild. What does it mean to me? What can I do with this? How can I apply it? Or what questions do I have? Like, what else would I like to ask this person if I got an opportunity to ask? And this is where the participation in 2026 really comes into play. Hit those things back to me and say, hey, I heard this interview. I came away with, these 3 points. You don't have to do 3. I'm just saying 3, but it could be 1 point, could be 20 points. I don't care. Give them to me all. I don't care. But here's a couple of things I'd like to ask if I could of your guest, or here are a few things I'd like to share with your guest. This would be an opportunity for me to send that over. And if you're inclined, you can include your contact information in your details, and I'll try and put you in direct contact with the guest if they are able or willing to engage at that level. And how cool would that be? Because you learned about them because of the Ripple Effect podcast, you picked up some great stuff, some great tips, some great ideas, some great strategies. You're coming now back with some additional questions, or looking for some additional clarification, or maybe you've got a very specific thing that you want to ask our guest. Well, then we can create that ripple to make that happen. We can either get that answer for you, or maybe we can reach out and connect you to, and how cool would that be, right? The ripple would continue. That's my hope for 2026, is that you don't just listen to this show passively and just let it wash over you. You could do that, feel free, but I would love for you to listen to it, engaged and active. But at the end of the day, I'd like you to come back to these episodes, and I'd like you to then put on your Brainiac cap and pull out your digital pen. And if you pull out your Life and Ripples, digital journal, you could just like write on your iPad, or take out your Ripple Connection Journal and write these things down, and then hit me back. My email, steve@ripplecentral.com, is how you get a hold of me. Tell me episode and the guest, and you got questions, you've got, comments, send them to us, and we will be sure to share them with our guests. They love that. Give you a quick story. Last year, we had a particular guest on that really resonated. I actually had several people that followed up after the show, told me how much they were inspired, and how much this person meant to them. And they just wanted to share that. And I went back and I took each of these reach outs, these emails. I had one, I think, sent me a DM on Instagram, a couple on Twitter, had a couple of emails. And I sent it back to this guest, and I said, hey, I just want you to know this is the kind of thing I was hoping for by having you on with the show, that people would start wanting to know more, that they would want to comment, that they would want to share and look at this. And she was blown away. She was very, very, very appreciative. She does a lot of podcast interviews. She came back. She's like, Steve, you made that so fun, so engaging. I really, really enjoyed my time. I hope we can do it again in the new year. And thank you for sharing your listeners' comments and their questions. And if you don't mind, I'd like to follow up with these people directly. And I did that, and I put them in contact. And in one instance, one specific instance, this guest and my listener have like just spun off on a completely different direction. There's like a real genuine friendship that is actually kicked off because of it. So when I think about the purpose of the show and what I want it to do and really the impact I want it to make, the ripples, where they ripple out, I want them to ripple back. And I want that to pay off for you. I want it to pay off for our guests. And I promise you, when I can be the conduit between the two, it's paying off for me in a big, big way. So I would ask that of you as we head into the new season, season 11. And we have just a lineup. We have a roster of amazing, 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 amazing people that are going to be on the show this year. And I just can't wait to bring them to you. But I wanted to start off this year and I wanted to show my appreciation and say thank you. Thank you for being a part of this show. Thank you for sharing it far and wide with people that you think will benefit from it. And keep those comments coming. Keep telling me what areas you want us to focus on, subjects you want us to talk about, areas that you would like my personal opinion on. And if you become, sorry, I got like a gnat flying around here. It's like winter. I don't even know why there's a gnat. What's up with that, man? What's the studio quality? Like, I don't get this at the other studio. I don't understand. Actually, I brought a plant in from outside, and that's why, I think. But I really want this to be an experience in a way that allows us to have not just a one-way conversation, but we can turn this into a two-way dialogue. And you can share, your thoughts and your ideas on where you would like me to focus our energy and our efforts. You could recommend guests that you think we ought to pursue for the show, people that you would love to hear from. And obviously, if you got some specific ripple burning questions that you would like me to be asking these guests, I'm all ears. Like, see? Well, those of you that are just listening, you can't tell, but I'm holding my ears out. Wow, that's weird. I don't like the way I sound this way. It's crazy. I am all ears. Well, I'm partially ears. I want to hear from you. I want to make this an experience that isn't just another thing you do, but a thing that you are grateful to do. A thing that you're grateful to tune into because the value is there. And I want to continue to bring that to you each and every time. And not just by the guests that we'll have on, but also by the topics when we do these solo episodes that you really individually would love to benefit from in some capacity. So questions on your network, questions on your career choices, questions on how to work on, difficult relationships, or, how to finally get out of your own way to actually bring your personality to the forefront with your team. I'm just coming up with things now, but at the end of the day, these are topics that have been put on the table that we've tried to touch on in years past, but I want to make sure that you know that I am always here, because this is a way for us to have this conversation and engagement, an opportunity for me to create some positive ripples for you. And if we both benefit from it along the way, we are both winners. Yeah. Cue the winner. Winning. That would be weird. That would be like the Charlie Sheen moment, right? Winning. I'm winning. No, it would be a win for you and for me, which that is a win for both of us, which is good. That's a win-win, right? Yeah. So anyway, I'm excited about season 11. I hope you can tell that. I am pumped. I am ready to get going. And I just want to say thank you. Thank you for being here. Thanks for being a part of this journey. Thank you for always supporting me. And let's dive in. Let's get rolling. Let's make 2026 the best year yet. That's my plan. That's my goal. Join me. All right. I'll see you guys in the next episode. We have a great guest coming up. You will not want to miss it. But until then, go out there, make a difference in the world, make a difference in someone's life, and you will make a difference in your own life. Ripple on.